the exhaustion of the fight. You know the feeling. I know it, because I have lived it. The circular argument that has no exit. The verbal maze where every path you take leads back to your own supposed insanity. You arm yourself with logic. You present facts. You plead with emotion. And in the end, you are left standing in the wreckage of the conversation, exhausted, confused, and somehow, always, the one to blame. The fight is not with another person. It is with a script designed to drain your energy, to make you doubt your reality, and to secure a steady supply of control. I spent years trying to win a game that was rigged against me from the start, and the silent pain of that realization, the sheer, soul-crushing exhaustion of it, is a weight that only those who have carried it can understand. Today, we're not here to learn how to fight harder. We are here to learn how to stop playing the game altogether. This is not about winning the argument. It is about reclaiming your peace. I am going to give you 7 phrases. These aren't magic words, but tools. Tools I had to forge in the fire of my own experience, designed to disarm, to de-escalate, and to allow you to take back your power. These are the phrases that instantly silence a narcissist, not because they wound, but because they remove the very thing their script depends on: your reaction. The Wall of Subjectivity. Phrase number 1. I understand that's how you see it. Let's break this down. The narcissist operates in a world of absolute, unchallengeable truths. Their truths. Their entire strategy in a conflict is to impose their reality onto you until you break. They will tell you what you think, what you feel, and what you did, and they will state it as fact. When you argue, "That's not what happened," or "That's not what I meant," you are engaging on their battlefield. You are validating the premise that there is a single, objective reality to be fought over. This phrase, "I understand that's how you see it," was a masterpiece of de-escalation that I had to learn for one simple reason. It is impossible to argue with. You are not agreeing with them. This is crucial. You are not validating their distorted reality. You are simply acknowledging their perception of reality. You are stating a fact, that from their perspective, this is their truth. It offers them no conflict, no argument to push against. It is a verbal wall of calm subjectivity. When they say, "You're deliberately trying to hurt me by being so forgetful," the instinct is to defend. I'm not. I just forgot. This is fuel. Instead, a pause, a calm breath, and then, "I understand that's how you see it." The fire has no oxygen. You have not accepted blame. You have not engaged in the drama. You have simply held up a mirror to their perception and refused to step inside it. For me, this was the first step in creating a boundary between their reality and my own. The End of Justification. Phrase number 2. I will not be discussing this further. I can't count the hours I've lost to the demand for endless explanation. The narcissist will act as prosecutor, judge, and jury, cross-examining your every motive, your every word, forcing you to justify your existence. This is not a search for understanding. It is a power play designed to wear you down until you concede out of sheer exhaustion. You will explain yourself, and your explanation will be twisted. You will defend your reasoning, and your reasoning will be used as evidence against you. The phrase, "I will not be discussing this further," is your constitutional right to end the trial. It is a declaration that the courtroom is closed. It is powerful because it is a complete sentence. It requires no justification. Notice it is not, "I can't discuss this," which implies weakness. It is, "I will not," which is a statement of will and a position of power. When they are circling, repeating the same accusation, why would you do that? Just explain to me why you would think that was a good idea. I just want to understand. The temptation is to try, one last time, to make them see. This is the trap. The response must be firm, calm, and final. We've both stated our positions. I will not be discussing this further. And then, you must honor that statement. You change the subject, or you physically leave the room. You are teaching them that their circular arguments no longer have power over your time and energy. You are ending the performance. The emotional boundary. Phrase number 3. I am not responsible for your emotions. This was the hardest lesson for me to learn, and the most crucial. A core tactic of emotional manipulation is to make you believe that you are the cause of their feelings. Their anger is your fault. Their sadness is your fault. Their disappointment is your fault. They hand you the weight of their emotional state and demand that you carry it and fix it. This creates a deep, paralyzing sense of guilt and obligation that keeps you trapped. Saying, "I am not responsible for your emotions," is not an act of cruelty. It is an act of profound emotional clarity. It is a verbal separation of what is yours and what is theirs. You are responsible for your actions. You are not responsible for their emotional reaction to your actions. This distinction is everything. When the accusation comes, "You've made me so angry," or "Now I'm going to be miserable all day because of you," the conditioned response is to apologize and scramble to fix it. The empowering response is different. A calm, steady voice. "I understand that you are angry, but I am not responsible for your emotions." This phrase dissolves the guilt. It hands the emotional weight back to its rightful owner. It will likely escalate their anger in the short term, because you have just dismantled one of their primary tools of control. But you must hold the line. It is a declaration of your emotional sovereignty. The Gray Rock. Phrase number 4. A simple, non-committal "Okay" or "I see." This is the verbal equivalent of the Gray Rock method. The narcissist thrives on drama. They feed on your emotional reactions, your anger, your tears, your impassioned defense. These reactions are narcissistic supply. They are confirmation that they have an impact, that they have control. The most powerful way to disarm them is to become the most boring, uninteresting, and unresponsive person in the room. The first time I used this, the silence that followed was deafening. When they are in the middle of a rant, a tirade of accusations and exaggerations designed to provoke you, a single, flat word can shut it all down. They say, and another thing, "I can't believe you had the audacity to do X, Y, and Z." You wait for the pause, and then, with no emotion in your voice, you simply say, "Okay," or "I see." What can they do? You haven't agreed. You haven't disagreed. You have offered them absolutely nothing to work with. It is a conversational dead end. It is the opposite of fuel. It is a vacuum. Using a flat, boring okay communicates that their dramatic performance is having no effect. It is uninteresting. And to a narcissist, being uninteresting is a fate worse than being hated. Use this when you are being baited into a fight. Give them nothing, and they will eventually be forced to take their drama elsewhere.
I understand your concerns, but my decision is final.
The refusal of distortion. Phrase number 5. That is not my experience of what happened. Gaslighting is one of the most insidious forms of psychological abuse. It's the systematic attempt to make you doubt your own memory, your own perception, your own sanity. I had to learn to trust my own mind again, to believe that my experience was valid even when someone else was trying to erase it. The narcissist will confidently deny things they said, invent events that never occurred, and rewrite history to fit their narrative. The goal is to destabilize your reality so that you become more dependent on theirs. Arguing the facts is a losing battle. They will simply deny and deflect. The phrase, "That is not my experience of what happened," is your anchor in reality. It is powerful because, once again, it is non-negotiable. You are not arguing about what really happened. You are stating your personal, subjective truth. They cannot tell you what your experience was. It is yours alone. When they say, "I never said that, you're making things up again," the instinct is to fight for the facts. "Yes, you did. You said it right here." Instead, the response is calm and grounded. "That is not my experience of what happened." You are not calling them a liar, which would escalate the fight. You are simply refusing to accept their version of events as your own. You are holding on to your own compass. It is a quiet declaration that your mind is no longer a territory they are allowed to colonize. Boundary on behavior. Phrase number 6. If you continue to speak to me this way, this conversation is over. This phrase is not a threat. It is a boundary. It is the clear and direct communication of a consequence. Narcissists will often use their tone, yelling, condescension, insults, as a tool of intimidation. They create a hostile environment to keep you on the defensive and in a state of fear. For years, I was conditioned to endure this, to try and placate them to calm them down. This only taught them that their behavior was effective. The phrase, "If you continue to speak to me this way, this conversation is over," shifts the power dynamic entirely. You are no longer asking them to be nice. You are informing them of the consequence of their disrespect. You are making your participation conditional on a baseline of respect. The most important part of this phrase is the follow-through. Believe me, the first time you do this, your entire being will scream at you to back down. But when they inevitably test the boundary, and they will, by continuing to yell or insult you, you must calmly execute the consequence. You must say, "As I said, this conversation is over," and then you must end it. You hang up the phone. You walk out of the room. You end the text exchange. You are teaching them, in the only language they understand, the language of consequences, that you are no longer willing to be a participant in your own abuse. The final word. Phrase number 7. No. Just that. No. It took me years to reclaim this word, to understand it as a complete sentence, an unbreakable boundary, a declaration of self-worth. We are taught that no is a harsh word, that it must be softened, justified, and apologized for. We say, "I'm so sorry, I can't," because this is an invitation for negotiation. It gives the narcissist an opening to dismantle your reasons, to argue with your logic, to chip away at your resolve until your no becomes a reluctant maybe, and then a resentful yes. A simple, firm, and calm no is a closed door. It is not up for debate. It does not require a defense. Can you do this for me? No. Why not? I've given you my answer. But I need you to. No. Reclaiming the word no as a complete sentence is perhaps the most profound act of self-respect you can engage in. It is the ultimate tool for disarming the endless demands, the sense of entitlement, and the boundary pushing that defines these interactions. It is the final word. It is your word. Reclaiming your peace. These phrases are your tools. They're not just theories to me. They are the shields I use to protect my own peace. The goal is not to change the narcissist. That is a battle you will never win. The goal is to change the dynamic, to step out of the role of the reactor and into the role of the observer, to reclaim the energy you have been pouring into a fruitless fight and reinvest it in yourself. The path of healing from this kind of emotional erosion is long. It requires patience. It requires you to be kind to yourself. But it begins with these small acts of verbal self-defense. It begins when you decide that your inner peace is no longer negotiable. Thank you for being here, for listening, for being willing to take the first step. You are not alone in this fight. Until next time, hold your ground. Your peace is worth it.